Imagine walking down the street, a cop passes you, you don't say anything, they don't say anything, but in that moment, your face was just scanned and checked against a criminal database. Right now in Edmonton, Canada, police are testing body cameras that scan your face the moment you walk past them. It checks for warrants and something called safety flags. No warrant, no suspicion, no interaction required. The company making this is called Axon. They're the biggest police body camera supplier in America, and in 2019, their own ethics board told them this technology was too dangerous to build, but they're building it now anyway. Is it actually legal? What does this mean for the future of our privacy? And what exactly is a safety flag? So in 2018, Axon did something most companies didn't do at that time. They created an AI ethics board, which featured outside experts in privacy, civil liberties, law enforcement, and technology. The board's job was to guide Axon on what's safe to build and what isn't. In their first report released in July 2019, the board recommended against developing facial recognition for body-worn cameras. Their conclusion was the technology was not currently reliable enough to ethically justify its use. The concerns were clear. There was significant accuracy problems, unreliable performance across different races, ethnicities, and genders, and no safeguards to prevent abuse. Axon agreed. They publicly committed not to build it. That was 6 years ago. Now they're testing it in Edmonton and giving the technology to police for free. Now here's what makes this different from other surveillance stories. Body cameras weren't sold to the public as a way to watch citizens. They were sold as a way to watch police. Axon started as a Taser International. They made tasers. Their first camera was designed to record when officers deployed those tasers, and the whole point was accountability. Protect officers from false claims, protect citizens from misconduct. Their tagline was literally protect life and protect truth. Now that same company is building cameras that scan and identify every person who walks past a cop. The tool designed to watch police is being turned around to watch you. So what changed? How did Axon get this powerful? According to Forbes, they supply body cameras to 85% of police departments in the United States. But body cameras are just the beginning. Axon sells in-car video systems, fixed surveillance cameras, license plate readers, drones. They sell cloud storage where all that footage lives, the software that manages it, AI tools that write police reports and answer officer questions in real time. They're not just a taser or a camera company anymore. They're a subscription platform for American policing. Hardware, software, cloud, AI, all locked in. So when Axon decides to add facial recognition to their body cameras, it doesn't stay in Edmonton. It goes everywhere Axon already is. But what happens when this technology makes a mistake? When Axon's own ethics board flagged this in 2019, it was because facial recognition performs worse on darker skin tones. It's less accurate for women. It struggles with anyone who doesn't look like the data it was trained on. This isn't hypothetical. In 2020, Robert Williams was the first publicly reported case of a wrongful arrest based on facial recognition. Williams was arrested in front of his family in Detroit, held for 30 hours, accused of stealing watches. The facial recognition match was wrong, and that was from a still photo run through a database with human review. Now imagine that running in real time on every face, no warrant, no suspicion, and Robert Williams isn't the only case. Nijeer Parks was 30 miles away when a crime happened. He had time-stamped receipts from a Western Union proving exactly where he was. The actual suspect had earrings. Parks doesn't even have pierced ears. None of that mattered. In 2019, police in New Jersey ran a fake ID through facial recognition software. The system matched it to Parks. He spent 10 days in jail, faced felony charges, went through a year of legal proceedings before prosecutors finally dropped the case. He never received an apology. Parks was the second publicly known wrongful arrest from facial recognition. Robert Williams was the first. There have been more since, and every single one of them has been black. In 2023, Porcha Woodruff was 8 months pregnant when Detroit police arrested her at her home in front of her two daughters. The charge was robbery and carjacking. She spent 11 hours in detention, started having contractions from the stress, had to be hospitalized after release. But here's the thing, the officer had already watched footage of the actual suspect. He interviewed Woodruff 2 hours before her arraignment. He knew she was 8 months pregnant. The suspect in the video wasn't. They arrested her anyway. Woodruff is the 6th known case of facial recognition wrongful arrest in America. Police aren't required to disclose when they use facial recognition. Most victims never even find out if it was involved. Most cases never make the news. We don't actually know how deep this goes. So why is Axon testing this in Edmonton? Here's what CEO Rick Schmidt wrote in a blog post. By testing in real-world conditions outside the US, we can gather independent insights and strengthen oversight frameworks. Let me translate that. The European Union banned real-time facial recognition in public spaces, citing it's too invasive. Dozens of US cities have restricted police use of facial recognition, too controversial. Even Motorola, Axon's biggest competitor, said they have the technology but have intentionally abstained from deploying it on ethical grounds. So Axon found a city willing to say yes. Barry Friedman, the former chair of Axon's own ethics board, put it bluntly. They found an agency willing to go ahead, and they're just going ahead. No public debate, no legislative deliberation, no independent testing, just a company and a police department deciding together what the future of surveillance looks like. So here's how the Edmonton pilot program actually works. Police compiled a watch list of about 7,000 people total. 6,341 are flagged as high risk. Categories like violent, armed and dangerous, or an escape escape risk, another 724 with serious criminal warrants. They have 50 officers who are wearing these cameras equipped with Axon's facial recognition system. When they encounter someone, the body camera scans their face against that list. Right now, officers don't get alerted in real time. The matches are analyzed later at the station, but that's just the pilot phase. The plan is eventually to have real-time alerts so officers know immediately if someone nearby is on their list and can call for backup. Oh, and one more detail. Axon won't say which company's facial recognition software they're actually using. The algorithm deciding who gets flagged, we don't know who built it. So what safeguards are in place? Edmonton police say this is targeted, only people with serious offenses, only during active investigations or calls, not just scanning crowds. Axon says every match requires human review, officers are trained, there's oversight, and the pilot is limited. 50 officers, daylight hours only, ends in December. Sounds reasonable, right? Here's what they're not saying. The privacy impact assessment, submitted the same day they announced the program, not before, literally the same day. The facial recognition vendor, undisclosed. Independent testing before deployment, none. Public debate, none. Legislative approval, none. And Axon admitted to the Associated Press that their system is affected by lighting, distance, and angle factors that, in their words, disproportionately impact accuracy for darker-skinned individuals. So here's what's actually changing. For most of history, policing has been reactive. A crime happens, police respond, they investigate, they make arrests, they solve cases. That's the model most of us grew up with. But that's not where this is heading. The new model is predictive. Algorithms that analyze crime data, map populations, identify hotspots. The goal isn't to solve crimes, it's to predict them before they happen. And it sounds efficient, right? Except the data isn't neutral. These systems learn from historical arrest records, decades of them. And if certain neighborhoods were over-policed for years, if certain communities were targeted more than others, the algorithm doesn't correct for that. It learns it and it repeats it. Facial recognition isn't a standalone tool. It's one piece of the system designed to predict who's dangerous before they've done anything wrong. Here's the pattern. These systems always start small, they have limited pilots, targeted use, only the most dangerous offenders. That's the pitch. But watch what happens next. The pilot succeeds because the company defines what success means, the list expands, the restrictions loosen, what started as a narrow exception becomes standard practice. This is Axon's business model. They did it with body cameras, which started as an accountability tool, a way to watch the police. Now Axon has 85% market share, locks departments into 12-year contracts, and has tripled prices since eliminating their competition. Body cameras went from watching cops to watching you. Facial recognition is following the same playbook. Edmonton isn't the end goal, it's just the proof of concept. So when this goes wrong, who's accountable? It's not the algorithm, you can't sue software. It's not Axon. They sell the tool, but they don't make the arrest. They'll say it's up to the officers to verify, but it's not the officers. They'll say they were following the tech in good faith. In most states, qualified immunity shields them anyway. It's not the department. They'll say they followed protocol. Robert Williams spent 30 hours in jail, exposed as a suspect in front of his daughters. Nijeer Parks spent 10 days locked up, lost his job, nearly took a plea deal for a crime he didn't even commit. Porcha Woodruff had contractions in a detention center while 8 months pregnant. Who paid the price? They did. And the system that failed them, it's still running. You'd think there'd be laws against this, federal regulations, accuracy standards, bias testing requirements. There aren't. There's no federal law governing police use of facial recognition. None. No required accuracy threshold, no mandate to test for racial bias, no obligation to tell you it was even used. What exists is a patchwork. And some cities have banned it, others have restrictions, warrant requirements, limited to serious crimes, but most places, nothing. And here's where Axon's market dominance matters. 85% of police body cameras. Evidence.com storing the footage. Draft One writing the reports. Once facial recognition is baked into that system, departments can't just opt out. The switching costs are enormous. By the time federal regulation catches up, if it ever does, the technology will already be infrastructure. That's the strategy. And facial recognition is just the lens. Let me show you the rest of the machine. So there's Axon Fusus, a platform that unifies every camera in the city. They have traffic cams, body cams, business security, even your neighbor's doorbell into one police accessible network. They call it a single pane of glass. They have Axon Air, which are drones that launch automatically when 911 is called, live footage streaming to officers before they arrive, one button on a body camera requests a drone overhead, and they have Draft One, which is an AI that listens to body camera audio and writes the police report in seconds. The original AI draft isn't saved, only the final version, which means there's no way to audit what the AI wrote versus what the officer approved. They have cameras everywhere, drones overhead, AI identifying faces, AI writing reports, one company that builds it all, and every piece talks to every other piece. So is all this tech inevitable? Cities have banned facial recognition. Robert Williams sued Detroit. The settlement created the strongest facial recognition policy in the country. That didn't come from Congress. It came from one man who refused to accept what happened to him. And remember, Axon's own ethics board recommended against facial recognition in 2019. They said the bias problems were too severe. Public pressure made that happen. They reversed course, but that tells you something. They're watching. They respond to pressure. The machine isn't finished. The standards aren't set, the laws aren't written, and that's terrifying, but it also means there's still time.